be able to connect with another human being is a gift. I think storytelling is essential, and I think it tightens us all as a community. So for someone like Al, and for so many of our residents that have a story, having each resident become well known to us is highly important to that person's well-being.
I grew up 3 houses down on the other side of the street, 61 Irving, and this is 40. Growing up here in this area was an experience. I found a game of basketball, and it was my identity. Basketball was my everything, and I ended up going to St. Rayfield. The beauty of St. Ray's is that I only stayed there 2 years. I was in the first freshman class there. I didn't care for the brothers because they wouldn't let me get away with all my stuff. But the one thing I liked about it is they had the best liquor store in town in their basement. And, you know, for the scholarship that I had, one of the things that they stipulated was that I would help out around there. And so I used to do some cleaning, but mostly cleaning out their stash. And that's where my real heavy drinking started. But I went back to East Providence, and I finished out my junior and senior year at East Providence High School. At the time of my last day of school, I had over 365 college scholarships. I could have gone to any school in the country. I would never go to school, which was my fault. And I watched 364 college scholarships go right down the tube. But I did go to summer school, and I did graduate. I went to 3 different colleges. I got in trouble like I always do, got kicked out. I was a chronic, hopeless alcoholic, and I still am an alcoholic. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. I'm just an alcoholic who hasn't had a drink in almost 28 years. So I ended up at a place called Husson College, and unbeknownst to me, the coach was a scout for the Celtics. So I bared down both basketball-wise and academic-wise, and I ended up with a 3.03 grade point average, and I ended up as an All-American. I was the second leading rebounder in the country for a long time. At one point, I was the leading rebounder in the country. I'm sitting in my living room in my shorts, drunk as a drunk can get. And I answer the phone, and the guy on the other end says, "This is John Killerly. I'm the chief scout and assistant coach for the Boston Celtics. And I wanted to let you know that you were drafted this morning." And so that's where the odyssey with the Celtic began. I went to camp as I always do. I'm on my best behavior. I don't want to uncover anything so that you'll know. You go in there, and there's 45 others. They put a piece of paper up in the locker room, and if your name was on it, you didn't come back. And so I kept going, and the next thing I know, there's only 2 of us left. But I got called into the office, and I was told that from here on out, I had to be under contract. And I got it all straightened out, and I signed my first professional contract. And then the truth comes out. You know, once I do that, I start to show you who I am. And it came to the point where he called me in and he said, "Al, we can't keep you. We got to let you go." And that began my around the world odyssey. I played in a lot of places, Philippines, Africa, Europe, and so on and so forth. The hardest thing for a guy like me is to live with the remorse. Most people have no idea what alcoholism is. They have no idea. I have full-blown alcoholism. Everything I touched, I destroyed. Everything. I married and divorced 3 times. My children to this day still don't want to bother with me. But that's the nature of this brutal and awful disease called alcoholism. I tried to take my life. January 2nd, 1998, I swallowed what they say was over 140 pills. And I laid down to die. And then from January the 2nd of 1998 to this day, I hear people say things about me I can't believe that they form their mouth to say. like I help people and all I care about is, I mean, I don't even know who that guy is. And that's what it's like in recovery. What's happened to me is God's work. And I've been changed to a person who his only concern is passing this message on so that others may not suffer and die. It's the key to life. Because when I sit down with another alcoholic and I say what I say, and he goes, yeah, I felt like that. The alcoholic, he knows the pain, he knows the loneliness. Yeah, I hear people say alcohol was their problem. Alcohol was never my problem, it was my solution. I found everything I was looking for in that bottle.
The thing about elders that I don't think we recognize fully as a society is that they're still contributing, that they're still growing. And I think at Aldersbridge, what we've tried to do is create an environment where people can do that. People can thrive. People can express their passion. People can live with purpose.
I fell in love with this place from the beginning. There were people here that show me genuine love, real honest love. And where are you gonna go to get that? You know? I didn't get it in the bar. The residents, some of them have become some of my best friends. There's some people here that I love dearly. I found peace here. I'm blessed to be here.
I think in the case of Al Soares, you look at who he is now and what he's doing. He goes to political rallies. He speaks up. Al is a tremendous individual and really, I think, an example to all of us. I think that Al and other residents here inspire those of us who work here to continue our own passions and our own purpose.
The thing is that I had nothing to say all of my life. It was all lies, and for the first time in my life, I've got something to say. And I think I like saying it, you know. I keep going. Why? Because if I stop, I'm gonna die in that chair, and I know it. I've got to keep going. So that's what I can do for myself. And this place provides it. I got an elevator. When we see the construction, the painting, the repairs, the lights going in, when we see all of these good things happening to us, they're happening for us. It's just fantastic.
Last year, we were asking people to donate money so that we could complete a renovation for the loft at Lynn.
So this is the resident cafe area that we created with the donations from last year's gala. You can see that we painted each hallway a different color, and that actually acts as two purposes. One is therapeutic, and the other is practical. We're also able to purchase steam tables. This gives our residents the opportunity to have all of their social dining needs occur right in the community within steps of their apartment. So these are the shadow boxes that we installed outside of each apartment. It provides the residents with an orientation tool for them to find their apartments. It provides us with a little glimpse of their life prior to coming to us.
We're asking people to donate their hard-earned money to help residents of Aldersbridge. No one else will. There's no other backup plan. The government's not going to step in and help. We need generous people, people who can give from their heart.
If I had more money to spend on these residents, we would be able to do so much more with them. They would be able to explore, we would be able to bring more entertainment, dancing, you know, just give them a taste of what Rhode Island has to offer.
When you donate to Aldersbridge, the impact that it has, enabling another human being to be able to live a life like Al Soares is doing now. And it's going to impact even future generations.
Find an older person, family, friends, stranger, find an older person and latch on to them like their life. Do for them, care for them, love them, hold them, do all of that, because when the time for you, it'll be there. Because there's nothing truer in this world than what goes around comes around.